Chris Parsons here from the Happy Healthy Marriage Reset. And today I want to share an update about a previous client of mine. Macy and John is what I called them in the book. I always change clients' names and try to change small details so that, it doesn't feel so personal. If they read it, or if anybody they know reads it, it's not so clear who they are. And so in chapter 5 of the Happy Healthy Marriage Reset, I introduced you to a couple, Macy and John. And I worked with Macy because they had other issues, but there's one aspect I want to talk about today. And they had a lot of tension in their marriage because she had a part-time job and her husband did not want her to have this job. He wanted her to be a stay-at-home mom. And so I helped Macy to sincerely communicate her feelings in a useful way, right? To take a stand for herself and what was important to her and her values, not just in words. Okay, the words are important, but also in action. They had this constant issue. She had this constant issue where she would be upset and hurt about something, but then she would pretend that everything was okay, and it was leading to compounding resentment and bitterness. And it was affecting them in every area of their life. Even when they weren't around each other, they were in a bad mood constantly because there was just so much tension in their home. And Macy did not know how to communicate her feelings in a way that would get her husband to respect what was important to her. And we showed her how to do that. It's in the book if you haven't read it yet. And so that was about 1.5 years ago, and I had a chance to catch up with her and find out how things were going. And she told me that she was quitting her job. Of course, my first concern was that her husband had guilt-tripped and manipulated her into feeling like she had to quit her job because that was what he was doing previously. And she was like, no. Actually, when I learned to stand up for myself and to take a stand and to communicate my feelings sincerely, my husband stopped trying to control me, stopped trying to make me do what he wanted and what was important to him, and started appreciating what was important to me. And when he stopped trying to control her, she stopped feeling the rebellious nature, right? Because we all rebel against control. That's why controlling your spouse doesn't work, because that's why controlling yourself doesn't work. And it's why other people, parenting, all sorts of things, control is a very poor mechanism because it creates rebellion in people. Whatever somebody tells us we can't do, whatever they tell us we're not allowed to do, whatever they tell us they don't want us to do, without any regard for us or our feelings or our values, we feel a natural desire to rebel against them and to do it out of spite. Spite is a big thing in a lot of marriages that have control, where one spouse is trying to control the other, or when you're both trying to control each other. And so she said that when he stopped trying to control her, that she stopped feeling that rebellion, and she was actually able to take a step back and to look at whether she really enjoyed this. And it turns out that it was something that she felt she needed to do, and she was good at it, and she enjoyed. But once she no longer had that drive of rebellion, she realized that it was too big of a sacrifice for their family. Her part-time job, because they were in position financially that she didn't have to work, her part-time job took away more than it gave. And she was able to make a choice for herself that she wanted to quit. And so the husband gets what he wanted, which is now his wife is going to be a stay-at-home mom. And but there was no compromise, right? She didn't do it to appease him. They actually learned to value each other's feelings by communicating them sincerely, and then found the common ground that actually the same thing was what was most important to her, was spending time with their 1-year-old. And so that was kind of a beautiful thing for them. And it goes to show the power of transformation to get lifelong results and not just temporary surface results. Because she didn't revert back to how she used to be. She didn't let him guilt trip or manipulate her. She didn't let him try to control her. But she ended up seeing the same thing that he saw. And there's so much power in that. But it all comes from sincerely expressing your feelings in a useful way, right? Well, a lot of people think, well, I'm just expressing my feelings, but they're doing it in a way that puts responsibility on their spouse, right? Here's how I feel, and here's why it's your fault. And that makes their spouse feel judged, attacked, and that makes them get defensive, and then it becomes an argument. Then it becomes a fight over who can make a stronger argument for why you should do what. And that leads nowhere, never gets anywhere. So I just wanted to share that update with you guys and about the power of transformation, about sincerely expressing your feelings, and really about being true to yourself. Because her husband, one thing I say in the book is that, she used to think her husband was a selfish jerk. And what she realized was that it wasn't that her husband didn't value her feelings or what was important to her. It's that she hadn't shown him how she felt and let her feelings affect him. Right? And there's a lot of ways you could take that I don't mean. But she simply allowed herself to act how she felt. And when she was upset, she acted upset instead of acting like everything was okay, even though she wasn't. That's poison. It's poison. So, if you're struggling with that, make sure you read the book. If you've already gotten the book, you want some personalized help, then get in our group. Check the bottom of your email.